Now, you've no doubt heard the phrase, the long march through the institutions. Well, the finish line is well and truly in sight because the radical left has arrived at the heart of our bureaucracy and government. One of the clearest examples of this is the office of the Race Discrimination Commissioner, now led by Giridharan Sivaraman, a man who seems less interested in ending racism and more obsessed with finding it everywhere. This week he made headlines warning parents that not talking to children about race and racism structurally maintains white supremacy. This is what he said.
It contributes to a knowledge deficit about racism that is then perpetuated across generations. It also denies the strength and pride that individuals and communities find within their racial identity and structurally maintains white supremacy.
So if you teach your kids to look beyond race, according to the race czar, you're actually complicit in white supremacy. He also said people find pride in their racial identity. That's fine. But here's a question for Mr. Sivaraman. Does that apply to white Australians as well? Can Australians of Anglo heritage be proud of their ancestry, the ones who built the common law system, ended slavery, and helped free half the world from tyranny in the 20th century? Somehow, I doubt it. But if pride is allowed for everyone except Anglo-Australians, then that is racism. But this is part of a broader pattern of the Commissioner denigrating our culture, heritage, and values. He said this about Australia Day.
Australia Day is Invasion Day for our First Nations brothers and sisters, and is a day of mourning in many ways and not a day to be celebrated. And to not acknowledge that is just compounds racism.
He's also hosted hour-long seminars accusing Australian workplaces of structural racism. And this is a funny one. He's questioned whether languages other than English could be spoken in Australian offices, all part of a move to dismantle structural racism. He also claims that the Voice referendum debate mainstreamed racism. Right, because that makes so much sense. Disagreeing with a race-based body that would literally make racism structural is now racist. But here's the irony of the whole thing. We're told Australia is a racist country by a highly paid Indian migrant who's been given a national megaphone and a $400,000 taxpayer-funded salary. If anything, I think this is proof that we are a very tolerant country, perhaps maybe even too tolerant of people disparaging Australia, dividing us along the lines of race, and inculcating victimhood. But this is also so frustrating because when there is genuine racism, if it's against white people or Jews, it's dismissed entirely. When asked to condemn the anti-Semitic chant "From the river to the sea," Mr. Sivaraman refused. He said he needed context. What sort of context do you need to determine whether a cry for genocide should be condemned? But for the left-wing activist class, anti-Semitism is the inconvenient racism because Jews are apparently too white and too successful to be victims in the Marxist noble victim versus white oppressor narrative. Now, also keep in mind, Sivaraman is leading the government commissioned study into racism at Australian universities, which was only necessary because of the dramatic increase in anti-Semitism we've seen on campuses since October 7. So good luck seeing any serious treatment of anti-Semitism in the review. So for all Giri's agonising about the dire state of structural racism in Australia, what is his grand plan to fix it? Well, of course, it's a $7.5 million taxpayer-funded national anti-racism framework to, quote, help us understand racism through a systemic, intersectional, nuanced, and community-centred lens with First Nations sovereignty and truth-telling at its core. What an absolute waste of taxpayer money. Now, interestingly, Sivaraman was handpicked by Labor's Attorney General, Mark Dreyfus. And before this gig, he was a principal lawyer at Maurice Blackburn, a big corporate donor to the Labor Party, tipping in over $1.4 million in donations to the Labor Party over the last decade. We are sick of the unelected elite who preach division, sick of the double standards, and sick of being told we are racist by a public servant migrant earning 4 times the average salary. If you want unity, I think we need to start by firing those who have built their careers on division.